Brad, thank you so much for everything that you've shared so far. From the tens of thousands of runners that you've treated, and I realize it's hard to unpack everything as we're all so different, but if you could pass across your very top tips for recovery for runners, what would they be?
Firstly, Ross, they're not my words, but it's powerful, and that is fuel for the work required. If your training workload goes up, your fueling needs to go up to match it. Secondly, be intensity controlled. So take note of the intensity that you're doing your sessions at. If it's meant to be a hard session or fast session, make it a fast session. If it's meant to be a steady run, please make it a steady run. And the third top tip, if you like, Ross, would be to be kind to yourself. I'm as guilty as the next person of expecting a record every week when we train. And it's just not practical. It's not reality. It's not doable. It's not sustainable. So if you're feeling tired, you don't feel like you want to get up out of bed and go for that session, perhaps it's best that you don't. So give yourself permission to be kind to yourself and take note of those mood signals like we discussed, and see if you can look at the long-term view of your training rather than the short-term seasonal results. See if you can not be injured for a year and watch yourself flourish. In the science, Ross, in the literature, it's been well documented that sleep affects injury risk. It affects our overall health. Obviously, there's a great awareness around the importance of sleep, and we're dropping some of the trophies that we used to have for, hey, I'm not sleeping many hours and look how productive I am, which is a great societal shift. But a paper that's quite well reported and often cited is Molesky 2014 and co, who looked at the effect of sleep deprivation on heightened injury risk for 160 high school athletes in grades 7 to 12. And what they found was that of those 160 high school athletes, those who slept less than 8 hours a night had a 170% greater likelihood of injury than those that slept 8 hours or more. Now, we all know that 8 hours is utopian, but the takeaway is more sleep is better in reducing injury risk, let alone well-being markers and everything else. So how do we get more sleep? It's certainly not easy. We're all juggling typically lots of pressures in our daily lives and weeks. I think just awareness is the top tip there, Ross, just to be aware that do the best that you can to try and optimize your sleep duration and quality. And I think most people are pretty aware of some of the little hacks and tricks that we hear all the time now about phones out of the bedroom, etc. A big one, though, that I often recall is that about pets. Pets on the bed, they've shown that that really does reduce the quality of sleep quite a lot. So it's not easy. I like to give my little Spoodle a cuddle when she comes under the bed in the morning, but if we can, be aware of the pets.